come sit with us for a moment. Yeah, just here in the quiet. Let the noise just soften a bit. There's this feeling, isn't there, sometimes, when things get still.
Yeah, we got kind of feeling.
Like maybe we're not quite finished as humans. I mean, not completely, right for the world we're in.
Oh, I think I know what you mean, like a subtle mismatch.
Exactly, a mismatch, a kind of deep unease, almost like it's woven into us, right from the start. Like we don't quite fit.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. An echo, maybe. Something quiet inside that remembers.
Yeah.
Or just knows we weren't quite ready for arrival.
Yeah, ready for arrival, that's it. But where does that feeling even start? Could it be as basic as being born?
It's a powerful thought, that first moment.
That's where I always end up, that first breath, the absolute shock of it,
Yeah.
Think about other creatures.
Okay.
A foal, right? So gangly, all legs, but within minutes, it's finding its feet, sensing the ground. It's ready.
Ready to move.
Or giraffe calf. Falls so far, hits the ground, gets a shake, wobbles a bit, but it stands, finds its mother, runs even. There's this competence right away.
An immediate readiness for their world, yeah. The contrast is stark.
It really is. And then us, the human baby.
Literally completely helpless.
Can't coordinate anything, can't get food, can't even hold its own head up.
Every single need has to be met by someone else. Totally dependent, vulnerable.
And you just have to ask, why? Why are we the ones who start out so unequipped? It feels backwards almost, like a flaw in the plan, compared to all that immediate strength. Why so fragile?
Well, what's fascinating is that it's probably not a flaw at all, not random. It seems to be tied right into our whole evolutionary story. A really complex negotiation, actually, over millions of years.
A negotiation?
Yeah. Our ancestors went down these two huge evolutionary roads almost at the same time. First, walking upright, bipedalism.
Right. Changed everything.
Totally. Freed the hands, let us see further. Massive advantages. But it came with a cost, anatomically.
How did walking upright affect birth, though?
Well, to balance upright, the whole structure of the pelvis had to change to support our weight differently. And that change, it actually led to the birth canal getting narrower.
Ah, okay, so the exit path got smaller.
Exactly. Tighter, more restricted. And while that was happening, the other huge change was kicking in. Our brains.
Getting bigger.
Explosively big. Yeah. Especially compared to our body size, much bigger than other primates. And the skull obviously had to grow to hold that brain. So you've got this evolutionary dilemma.
A smaller exit.
And a bigger passenger trying to get through, specifically a bigger head.
Right. So something had to give. The baby couldn't just stay in longer until the brain was more developed. The head would be too big.
That's precisely the compromise, the evolutionary workaround. The solution, really, that let us have both upright walking and big brains was, it was for human babies to be born much, much earlier in their development than other mammals.
Earlier? You mean like premature?
In a very real biological sense, yes. Born too soon. A huge amount of brain growth that happens inside the womb for other mammals. Well, for us, it happens after birth. We leave that contained space way before we're truly finished.
So that helplessness, it isn't a mistake. It's the direct result. The price we paid for walking tall and having these big, complicated brains.
It seems so. We're sort of designed, you could say, to be thrust out into the world in that state.
Thrust out, yeah. It was a clever solution, maybe, for the species long term. But wow, what an introduction to existence.
Think about it. Your very first experience is being ejected. From warmth, muffled sounds, constant safety, constant nourishment.
Into something totally different.
Yeah. Suddenly you're outside.
And the world you land in. It's not exactly gentle, is it?
Not at all.
It's not like falling into a soft nest or being immediately surrounded by the herd. It's harsh. Bright lights, loud noises, cold air.
Compared to the constant warmth and quiet you get.
Yeah. And your needs aren't just instantly met anymore. There's delay. There's effort involved. It must feel chaotic. Just completely overwhelming, unfathomable.
Right, a total shock to the system.
Yeah.
Imagine existing where every need is just met, anticipated almost, buffered, then boom, you're thrown into uncertainty.
Thrown into uncertainty.
For lots of other creatures, the world outside feels somewhat familiar maybe. Instincts kick in, smells are right, sounds make sense. But for a human baby, there's none of that immediate understanding.
Just sensation, raw sensation.
Intense, unfiltered, often uncomfortable, and you're utterly helpless. Can't signal properly, can't do anything for yourself. Like conscious seeds flung into this huge, seemingly random universe.
Conscious seeds flung. Wow, that lands hard. It feels like more than just physical vulnerability then. It's cosmic exposure.
That's the way to put it.
Like, you arrive before the world's ready for you, and you were definitely not ready for the world. Incomplete, exposed,
Yeah.
and the world feels bewildering.
Yeah.
Maybe even hostile.
And the really profound thing is thinking about how that biological reality of being born too soon, how that feeling of chaos and overwhelm, how it must imprint on us internally.
Right. How does being thrown into uncertainty right at the start, how does that shape your mind as it develops?
It must leave a mark, a dark one, maybe unconscious, a feeling of being unprepared.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, like something's missing, kind of background hum of unease that just stays even when things are objectively fine.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a fear you learn. It feels older, built in somehow.
And maybe that's where we can start to see the origins of things we usually think of as, well, negative psychological traits. But maybe they started as adaptations. Think about paranoia.
Paranoia, like clinical paranoia.
Not necessarily clinical pathology, no. More like
Yeah.
a background tendency towards fear,
Yeah.
a kind of heightened anxiety, constant vigilance.
Like that feeling something bad could happen any minute, always looking for trouble.
Exactly. That slight lean towards seeing threat, anticipating danger, even when things are ambiguous. Think about our ancestors. Their world was full of real dangers, predators, rivals, storms.
Okay.
So individuals who are maybe a bit hyper-aware, who jumped at shadows, who maybe imagined threats sometimes, they might have been jumpy, but they're also more likely to survive.
Right. Better safe than, on an evolutionary scale.
Their caution, even if it felt excessive sometimes, it kept them alive.
Yeah.
So the tendency gets passed down.
So that constant scanning, the worrying, the what-ifs, it wasn't a bug, it was a feature, a kind of evolutionary alarm system.
It could well be. And it links right back to that initial vulnerability, doesn't it? You start out in chaos, totally dependent, exposed. So maybe the mind develops this default setting. Be vigilant.
Yeah.
Scan. Anticipate.
It's like an echo of being fragile and unfinished at the start. Your whole sense of self is built on that shaky ground.
The feeling of being incomplete, the world seeming tricky or dangerous. It all might trace back to that first moment, being cast out, unready, the legacy of being born too soon.
Huh. That's quite a thought.
It is, but then here's the twist, or the other side of it. That unfinishedness, that sense of lack.
Yeah.
It's not just about anxiety or fear. It might also be the source of so much that we value about being human. The positive stuff. Well, because we feel incomplete, because the world isn't instantly safe and understandable, because we don't just run on instinct.
Yeah.
We become seekers.
Seekers.
Seekers of meaning. If the world isn't just given to you, you have to explore it. Try to figure it out, ask questions, look for answers.
Right. You have to engage. You have to search.
And because our minds develop that skill for anticipating threats, for looking ahead, well, that same skill lets us anticipate possibilities. We become future-oriented. We plan. We imagine not just dangers, but opportunities. What could go right?
We build possible futures, yeah.
And the self-questioning, if you don't arrive with a set place of fixed purpose like other animals seem to, well, you have to ask, who am I? What's this all about? You question yourself, you question everything.
That makes sense. So the lack, the anxiety, the feeling unfinished, it's also the engine. Driving curiosity, planning, self-awareness, art, philosophy, science.
It could be the very engine. The void fuels the search. It's what makes us dynamic, always moving forward.
Wow. So it's this deep paradox. Our fundamental anxiety, feeling cast out and incomplete, is also the source of our drive to understand, to create, to connect, to become something more.
And this feeling, this sense of lack, of being ejected from somewhere safe, of always searching, it doesn't just live inside us individually. You hear it echoing in our oldest stories, our myths.
You mean like stories of a lost paradise?
Exactly. Think about how powerful, how enduring that idea is. The Garden of Eden, for example.
Right.
The story describes this perfect place, this perfect time, effortless existence, no struggle, no want, everything provided, perfect harmony. And then, expulsion, cast out.
Cast out into a world that's hard, full of suffering, uncertainty,
Yeah.
That state, that Eden state, it sounds.
Familiar.
Yeah, very familiar.
It sounds a lot like The Room, doesn't it? That original place, primal warmth, total safety, needs met before they're even felt, buffered, contained, complete union.
And birth, then, is?
Birth is when paradise ends. It's the expulsion, the casting out, maybe traumatic, certainly disruptive, out into the cold light of day. Life begins in tears, as they say.
So that ancient story, the fall from grace. Maybe it's not just theology. Maybe it's like a collective memory, a mythologized version of that fundamental shock, being pushed out of the perfect world of the womb.
It carries that weight, doesn't it? That deep sense of loss, that primal trauma of arrival. It feels woven into us, expressed over and over in our stories about who we are. And if that's true, then maybe human life itself is this kind of lifelong quest.
The quest to get back.
To recover that lost paradise. Not a place, maybe, but the feeling. That feeling of original wholeness, perfect safety, effortless belonging.
A quest for a feeling, trying to recapture something we don't even consciously remember. And if we're all on this quest, always trying to get back to that feeling, how does that actually show up now in our lives?
Well, it takes all sorts of modern shapes, doesn't it? Think about the drive, the relentless pursuit in so much of life today, like the dream of getting incredibly wealthy.
Okay.
Isn't the underlying promise that then all your needs will be met, all desires fulfilled, you'll finally be safe? It echoes Eden, no lack.
Or maybe intense religious devotion, striving for that future paradise.
Was pursuit of piety, yeah. Hoping to regain that perfect state, but maybe deferred.
Yeah.
To another place, another time. It's the same hope.
And even just achievement. Like, if I just get that promotion, publish that book, run that marathon, then I'll feel complete, secure, enough.
Exactly. It all points back to that same fundamental search, doesn't it?
It really feels like the same engine, searching for fulfillment, for validation, for that feeling of wholeness we lost right at the start.
But here's the catch. The tragedy, almost. If the ideal state, the place you're supposed to be, the place of fulfillment, if it always lies in the future, and imagine then
you're never really here now.
Exactly. You fail to value the present, the only place life is actually happening. You're always looking ahead, striving for there, and you miss here.
Like you're so busy searching for the lost garden, you don't even notice the flowers blooming right where you are.
And the modern world, it just amps this up, doesn't it? So much stimulation, so much to want, to consume, to possess, to experience. It turns the search into this endless loop.
A new phone, a different holiday, the next relationship, the next goal.
Right. Always something else to chase.
And you get it. You achieve it, you buy it, you experience it. And that deep feeling, that sense of original wholeness, of just being okay, it doesn't really come back, does it?
Not really. Not fully. No matter what desire gets fulfilled, no matter what you achieve, that feeling of being home, truly complete, it stays just out of reach. So the incompleteness lingers.
And you keep seeking, always craving more, driven by that original lack.
It's a cycle, powered by being cast out too soon. What was lost at birth becomes this unconscious goal for your whole life, pursued through all these different things. And maybe it only ends with death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? Starts with being born too soon, ends
but
perhaps with a different kind of completion.
So if that's our state, always reaching, always driven by lack, always neglecting the now, what does that actually do? What are the consequences out there in the world and inside us?
Well, distraction often follows that neglect of the present. It has real costs, tangible ones. Think about, say, chasing a purely scientific utopia. You know, the promise of a perfect future through technology, disease-free, abundant.
Sounds good.
The intention might be good, but if you pursue it without being grounded in this world, this reality, it can lead you to just ravage the natural world, exploit resources, pollute, destroy ecosystems, all for a future dream, ignoring the paradise, however imperfect, that's already here.
Tearing down the only home we have to build an imaginary one.
Or think about striving only for a religious paradise in the afterlife. If that becomes the only thing that matters, well, history shows it can justify terrible things in the present. Intolerance, violence against people who believe differently. Creating hell now in the name of heaven later.
Tragically, yes. Sacrificing present compassion for future salvation.
And personally, what about just striving for success, money?
Same pattern. Often.
Yeah.
Someone might just sacrifice their youth, their energy, their health, their relationships, working relentlessly, joylessly for some future payoff, telling themselves they'll finally live later.
Not realizing they're trading away something irreplaceable.
Exactly. You can't get those years back. That energy, that specific moment, the life that was happening right then gets bargained away.
So in chasing Eden in the future, because we feel we lost it in the past, we end up creating a new kind of fall right now. through neglect, through destruction.
It's a profound cycle, often unconscious. Loss leading to pursuit, pursuit leading to more loss in a different way.
Oh, yeah, it's a heavy thing to think about. That our fundamental human drive, born from that initial lack, leads us to undermine the very ground we stand on.
Which kind of gets to the core of it, maybe. Maybe being human isn't about being finished or arriving somewhere. Maybe it is about this state, this perpetual motion, this wandering.
Wandering because we can't quite settle, can't fully be here.
Yes, we're born too soon.
Yeah.
The world isn't quite ready for us, maybe, and we're definitely not ready for it, not in that first raw state.
So we have to wander
Right.
between beginnings and illusions. Is that the idea?
A resonance, yeah. The beginning being that echo of the womb paradise, and the illusions being all those future paradises we chase, material, spiritual, whatever.
And we live not in what is, not in the present, but in what was that lost safety and what could be that imagined future completion.
And in doing that, bouncing between past and future, we forget. We forget to simply be.
Forgetting the only place life actually happens. The present. It's, perpetual motion. A journey driven by feeling something's missing.
Wait.
Well, we also said there's a paradox here, right? It's not just tragic.
No, not just tragic. Because the other side is maybe that eternal search for a wholeness that can never be fully regained. Maybe that restless state is what makes us human, uniquely human.
The search itself defines us, not arriving, but the striving.
Perhaps. And in that search, that yearning, that questioning born from knowing the world isn't simple or complete.
Yeah.
That's where our drive comes from, to question, to explore, to create, to move forward.
So the lack, the incompleteness, it's not just anxiety, it's the fire, the source of creativity, innovation, maybe even empathy, knowing we're all a bit broken.
It could be the incandescent source, our restless, searching spirit.
So we're not just doomed to wander aimlessly. The wandering itself, the searching driven by being unfinished, that's where our potential lies too, a state of always becoming.
It seems so. A complex journey, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Sometimes sorrowful, other times between a beginning we can't quite recall and an end we can't quite know, driven by this ancient sense of not being quite whole.
And maybe the only real wisdom, the only peace, is just recognizing the journey, understanding the engine, and trying somehow to find moments of presence, to just be even while we're wandering.
Oh, if we live only for the world to come.
We risk burning the paradise already in our hands.
Eden isn't just behind us.
Although
We lose it every time we forget to be here.